Hello everyone, my name is Angel Abrici. I'm a MuleSoft Success Architect, and today we're going to review SonarQube and the SonarQube MuleSoft plugin. First of all, let's understand what it fits, what is it, then what are the components, and then a quick demo. Here we have the CICD pipeline. The principle we want to follow, shift left, we want to detect errors as soon as possible in our pipeline. For that, we're pulling from the code once the developer has already pushed into repository with our CI/CD tool. It could be Jenkins or anything else. So then we run the unit test to make sure that this code is still functional at unit level. And we're going to run the static code analyzer. That is our SonarQube, and then build that Maven package. So let's continue to see what SonarQube is and how it can help us on this. So in terms of SonarQube purpose, you want to automatically review code. You want to detect any bug, any vulnerability, any code smell across your different projects. Now, it is highly regarded in the market. It has helped developers to increase productivity because you can detect those issues automatically, and it's common in modern CI/CD pipelines. So SonarQube will act as the non-negotiable verification layer. Remember, it's an open source platform developed by Sonar since 2006 that it exists. In terms of the MuleSoft plugin for SonarQube, it is described in the main repository that you have in the description of this video, and it's an open source initiative. You don't get MuleSoft support in this project. You're not going to be able to open MuleSoft support cases out of it. But what you can do is validate specifically Mule applications, those configuration files in XML. You will be using SonarQube to set as a number of rules that are predefined and metrics, and those are going to be applied to the projects. You can extend them, of course. And it's very, very important because these MuleSoft applications are unique. They have this XML-based configuration file, and they also have these data whip scripts that standard SonarQube will not be able to understand. So while you have native tools as well as the Anypoint API governance, mostly thinking about API design standards, though that has been changing in the last year, it is not a replacement of static analysis that you can do with SonarQube. In the same way, if you, from the other side, you have something extra on security, has GitHub Advanced Security, it doesn't mean that you cannot leverage the MuleSoft plugin for SonarQube, because the GitHub Advanced Security will help you with vulnerabilities and leak secrets. It is blind to data weave logic, to munit coverage, and to other different Mule pieces of code. Now, who uses SonarQube in the market? This is not coming from me. This is all publicly available from this URL, and you can see what companies are using it in case that you still have doubts. Let's jump into how does it work. So we have 5 components: the issues, the measures, the quality profiles, quality case, and the rules. First thing, the rules. When we think about rules, think about what is right or what is wrong in the code. Imagine a very easy example that variables must be initialized before use, very, very Java based, or imagine something more MuleSoft similar, that is HTTPS should be used instead of HTTP for security. They also work as rule stores where you're accumulating those different rules, and it's the base unit that we're going to need for our SonarQube implementation. Think about it as the basic: what is right, what is wrong. Then we have the quality profiles. Quality profiles are a collection of rules that are going to be activated. In the plugin, you will see it has in the screen MuleSoft rules for Mule 4. And there will be different profiles that you can already preload into it. A total of 28 rules are accepted. Now, in terms of other things that the plugin will come with, the quality gates, it's basically threshold conditions. Think about, okay, we have a coverage of 80%, so we want to pass forward, or we want to block that pipeline step with that step. We want to stop it, and we want to revert it back to the developer so that it can be updated and improved. So that is quality gates, is your condition. Then you have the measures, that is all sorts of metrics that are coming for SonarQube evaluations. Think about anything. It could be the size in terms of lines of code. It could be the complexity in terms of amount of flows that you have in a MuleSoft configuration file, or it could even be the same coverage unit test. One measure that is the most important and the starting point for you is going to be issues. And issues are when a rule has been broken. So the rule defines a behavior, and the issues are the specific instances where that behavior was broken. So a rule can have multiple issues for each project. Imagine that you have multiple HTTP endpoints and none of them is used HTTPS. Each the individual error is an issue, and the rule itself is for HTTPS. That's it. That's all it is. And then you have the rule stores that we very briefly mentioned. That is the file. It's the file where all those rules are stored. There's the different measures that existing already in this plugin: number of flows, number of subflows, data with transformations that have to be external, the complexity, the coverage, and the number of MUnit tests. These ones you can extend it as well, of course. Now, that's all great, but let's jump into the demo. And in terms of the demo, we need to explain 4 different components. The first one is Docker Desktop. It's going to be one of the tools that we use. We're going to use the terminal, then the web portal for SonarQube. Very, very simple. You want to see how and why. And then Anypoint Studio. Anypoint Studio. Let's jump to the demo. So this is the repository where you will find all the content that we have been describing. And very, very important, at the end, you have this beautiful Docker where you can experiment. That's exactly what we're going to do. So the first thing you need to do, you need to Docker pull that image, and then we have to run it as a container. Now, we have seen here that the container is up and running. Now, let's see the web portal from SonarQube by default in this plugin. How does it look like? So here it is, localhost 9001 projects. The first thing we need to do is to log in, is admin, and we need to actually modify in the administration the XML field. You don't want SonarQube to use default XML, as you will be using the MuleSoft XML. Now, once we do that, let's scan our first project. So here I'm going into a MuleSoft project, a MuleSoft API, a MuleSoft app, and I'm going to be running this command, sonar, to scan it using our Sonar server that we just lift up. We can see that it's running, it's doing some commands, and build is success. So now we can go back to SonarQube portal and select our project. In our project, we're going to see that evaluation in terms of bugs, in terms of vulnerabilities, and the quality gate score that in this case is passed. You can see also some measures or metrics that we talk about. In this case, is a small complexity and it's only around 1,000 lines of code. And somewhere else, you can see also the here, you can see the measures, you will see other details like vulnerabilities. You will see other details as the coverage, the size itself, the number of lines, the number of flows, data width, and so forth. But if we go back to the overview, one of the main points was issues. So issues, if we click on it, we are going to see the credentials and resources should be managed with application properties. API ID in auto-discovery should not use a hard-coded value. HTTP listener should use a specific port property, and it should be using HTTPS. These are just examples. Now, in this mode, I am the administrator of SonarQube, and I can actually change for this specific project for any time that is running in the future. I can change the different values. For example, if I wanted to consider this specific one as a major issue or a minor issue, then I could classify as a vulnerability, code smell, and so forth. Every time I do the scan, this information will stay. And what this is doing is providing this information to someone that will act as the administrator or auditor from SonarQube point of view. There is not much else. We do have the rules as well that in this case are going to be predefined. So you will be able to find here the rules from MuleSoft, around 58, and you can see some of them, you can extend them. You also have the quality profiles. Here in this case, imagine there is only Mule, and again, you're thinking about the Mule 4. There's because this is the collection of the different rules, the multiple rules in one place, and then you have the quality gates. There are these conditions that are going to say my code is good enough to move forward or it is not good enough. So with this, we have finished the demonstration. Very, very important. It's super easy to test it. You can try it out, SonarQube. The challenge will be about extending it and making sure that it fits your cultural organization state. Thank you very much for your time, and until next time, bye-bye.